Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan. This is my brother Rustin, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. Man, oh man, a busy day. Not necessarily on Rocky Top, but the teams from Rocky Top playing around the country. We got basketball at Kentucky today. Unfortunately, lost that one. We'll talk about that in just a moment. As we speak, the base Vols are trying to find their first win of the season, and the Lady Vols are currently leading Liberty University. And we'll talk about that momentarily as well. But first, uh, today in Rupp Arena against Kentucky, unfortunately, the basketballs dropped one there. My goodness, the tale of two halves. Rustin, what were your takeaways from today?
So the reason I chose coin toss for my name tonight is that's our basketball team. On any given day, you've got a 50-50 shot of what you're going to get, sometimes 50-50 in the exact same game. The first half was absolutely awful. There's no other word you can put on it. I don't think they could have played worse. And then the second half, they come out and perform somewhat better. I wouldn't say they played great in the second half. They were still really inconsistent. The difference in the game was against Alabama. Our four post players against Alabama combined for 33 points. Today, they combined for 12. Four post players cannot combine for 12 points. Our guards didn't play great, but they did enough to win. And our post game just completely let the team down. And it didn't matter who they put out there. None of the four of them played well. And honestly, it's going to keep being a coin toss until one of those four guys decides they're going to step up and become the man. And unfortunately, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
One of the things that people were saying after the game was just the vast disparity in free throw attempts between the two teams. I think Kentucky shot 35 free throws and Tennessee shot 14. I think is the difference. People are like, that's that's terrible. That's terrible. And I get that. I understand that. But part of the problem was in the second half, Tennessee, kudos to them, and they fought back. They were down 20 at the half. They fight back in the second half. Santi essentially wills them back into the game. They cut the lead to 8 at one point, and they could never get closer. There were times when they would come down the court and get a stop and have a chance to cut that lead more. They get fouled and go to the free throw line, miss the front end of a 1-and-1. They did not make a single free throw in the second half. That is not a good recipe for March at all. None, zero. And so you look at that disparity in free throws, and part of that was self-inflicted by Tennessee. Because whereas they could have had 2 free throws, they missed the front end of 1-and-1, and now you don't only have 1 and you're 0 for whatever. So that was the most concerning thing to me, watching the second half, knowing what's coming in the future with the NCAA tournament, the SEC tournament. Unreal. You can't go 0 for in the whole half for free throws. You just can't do it, especially in clutch moments in the game when think about this. The clock was stopped. They had an opportunity to cut into the lead with no time coming off the clock, and they couldn't capitalize on it. You can't get back into a game like that when you're not taking advantage of the opportunities given to you. So that was frustrating. As far as our player of the game, mine was Santi. He was the only guy, in my opinion, that really deserved it. One of my other takeaways.
Honorable mention to Jemai Meshack.
Yeah. So this was kind of I don't know, and I could be alone in this thought, but Jemai, yes, he was tremendous defensively as always, but he cannot be a liability on the offensive end. And tonight he was. He's got to develop his shot. And the one time I did see him shoot a 3 in the second half, he drained it. It went in. But man, there were times when we dribble penetrate, kick it out to him for a wide open three, and he wouldn't pull the trigger because he wasn't confident in himself. There's I almost took a screenshot of it on my phone because I was watching the second half on my phone. I almost took a screenshot of it. There was a play where he had the ball at the top of the key. He's standing right at the 3-point line, and they were giving him so much of a cushion. The guy defending him was below the free throw line, giving him that much space to shoot the ball, just asking him to shoot it, and he wouldn't do it. That's not a recipe for success in March. He has to be an offensive threat. When we dribble, penetrate, and kick it out to him, and there's nobody within 7 or 8 feet of him, or more than that. Even there were times when it was 10 to 15 feet. He has to take that shot. He has to. Even if he misses it, he has to take, because you're not going to get a more open shot than that. The chances of it going in are higher than, you can't pass it up. You just can't pass it up. And so that he became kind of a liability on it. And I know he had 16 points. It was like probably his most points he's ever scored as a Vol. But at the same time, if you watch the flow of the game, defenses were just sagging off of him, letting him have all day if he wanted to, knowing he's not going to take the shot. And so then all the attention becomes focused on Santi and Tyreek Key. And so if Jemai can develop into an offensive threat, that's going to add a whole other level of a whole other dimension to this team. But Santi, my goodness, the way he shot the ball in the second half, he certainly deserves, I think, player of the game. What about you?
Yeah, he was probably the best player on the court for most of the second half, if not the whole second half.
Agreed.
There was one moment in the second half where we had scored 22 points and he had 15 of them. So he decided to put the team on his back in the second half, and that was valiant. It was a good effort to watch, but again, none of it matters if there's a non-existent post game. He can only do so much. And, to that free throw disparity, people are talking about, toward the end of the game, I saw people saying, well, you got to hit your free throws. Well, we missed 10.
Yeah.
Kentucky missed 12. So you can't really point to that and say that that's a big part of it, because that equals out. That's not something that you can kind of hang your hat on. Vols just hit a 2-run bomb to go up 2-1.
Oh, good.
Top of the fourth, which was very much needed, because up to that swing, our offense was non-existent.
Dester said, got to hit your shot. Sad to watch. I agree. Oh my goodness, especially the first half. Oh, it was horrible. We were sitting here talking about it right before we went live. The Vols shot 1 of 13 from the 3-point line in the first half. That is 7.7%. Not great, Bob. That is not the stat column you want for that at all. But Dester, thank you for joining us, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you. Santi in the second half, talk about tail of two halves, like we were saying. His first shot that he made in the second half, guy was guarding him, up on him, and the guy took one step off of him, and Santi just pulled the trigger right in his face from about 5 feet behind the 3-point line and drained it. And when that went in, you could feel like, uh-oh, maybe, we might have something here. And then the next couple trips down the court, man, he was just feeling it. He hit another fadeaway 3 in the corner. Probably the prettiest thing he did all night was when he drove. He just blew by. I can't remember who was guarding him. He just blew by the guy. And then over the top of, I don't think it was Toppin, it was somebody else, tried to come over, help side defense, block a shot, laid it up over both of them. Man, it was beautiful. That was one of the prettiest plays of the night. But we got at A&M Tuesday, so isn't that right?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, so they better turn it around, because which team's going to show up?
I mean, who can possibly predict what this team is going to do or who's going to show up? That's why it's so frustrating to watch them, because you're like, how do you go out and play that well against Alabama, and then in the first half of the very next game have hands down your worst half of the entire season? Like, it makes no
Yeah.
sense.
They had 10 points when at the under 8 media timeout, which happened with 6 minutes and 54 seconds, I believe,
And that's
in the
because
first half.
they
They
hit a
had 10
three.
points.
In the first 12 minutes of the game, they scored 7.
Yeah. It's unreal, man. It's so sad. That was so bad.
When Jemai Meshack is your leading scorer with 5 of your 10, we got problems. Like that's
Yeah.
not okay ever.
Yeah, agreed. Tyler said, I'm still encouraged by our ability to stay in the game. I mean, to have played so poorly in the first half, the fact that it was a single digit game is encouraging from a no quit factor, I believe, for Tuesday. I mean, I agree they didn't quit, but you also have to capitalize when they're giving you opportunities at the free throw line to cut the lead, and with no time coming off the clock. You got in the second half, you got to capitalize on that, because here's the deal. Okay, let's go back to the second half there. There was one point it gets down to an 8 or 9 point game. They go to the free throw line. A 6-point game feels much different than a 10-point game. And if you can get that lead down to 6 with just a few minutes left, we're only 2 possessions down at this point. That's a way different scenario than a 10-point game. And so I agree. I totally agree with Tyler. It's encouraging that they don't quit. Like no one could ever call them, people who are just going to give up, because they don't do that. But at the same time, you got to take advantage of opportunities when they're given to you. And to go 0 in the second half from the free throw line, that was a dagger to themselves, unfortunately. A couple other things going on right now. Let's talk about some Lady Vols softball.
So before you say anything, before we came on the air, we were talking about Kiki Malloy and McKenna Gibson were tied at 3 home runs each through the first 7 games. Kiki Malloy just hit number 4. So she now has 4 home runs in their first 7 games.
Golly, wow.
She's
man.
on fire.
She's a leadoff hitter.
Yep. And she is crushing the ball.
I mean, she's got to be like, if they were like giving out front runners for player of the year in the country, she's got to be at the top, man. Like, it's becoming an oddity when she doesn't hit a home run now.
Yep.
I mean, like, she's killing the ball. Rebecca and company Houndstooth said, I didn't even recognize this team today. Speaking of the basketballs, couldn't hit anything. And the free throws, what in the world? Good grief. We were amazing just a few days ago against Alabama. There's another day. That's a great point. Just a few days ago, a completely different team shows up. Honestly, the Tennessee Vols men's basketball team this year is a great lesson as to why it is probably not wise to gamble on men's basketball in NCAA.
Oh, I would
because you don't know what team's showing up with this group.
I would never encourage anyone to put any money on Tennessee, positive or negative. There is literally no way to predict and even get remotely close to what that team is going to do.
Yeah, I mean, just like Rustin's, just like his name for today, coin toss. I mean, you don't know. You don't know who's showing up. You don't know. Thank you, Rebecca and Tyler, for coming back and visiting with us again. That's awesome. We appreciate you guys. So back to the Lady Vols softball team.
They're up 3-0 in the top of the 6th against Liberty.
That's good. That's good. They lost a close one. I think it was 5-4 against Cal State Fullerton earlier today.
Yep.
Totally understand that. Man, California, as far as softball, California is a factory for softball players. So many good softball players come out of that state. And so Cal State Fullerton has a tremendous base to recruit from. That doesn't surprise me at all. Close game, 5-4. I think Kiki hit a home run in that one too. Probably, if I had to bet, that's what I would say. Yeah. And so, now she just hit another one. She's killing it, man. She's killing the ball. It's unreal. Leadoff hitter. Tyler said, should we be concerned at the lack of bats for Vitello and company?
So this team is going to be a little different from last year's team, and I think the biggest way they're going to be different is last year we had a lot of offensive depth. We could platoon positions against right-handers or left-handers, sometimes every position if they wanted to. But you have to remember last year's team graduated a lot of guys, and the depth from last year's team are now the starters. And the guys who are behind those starters aren't ready. So we are not going to be a deep team offensively. But the first 9 will be very good. Unfortunately, our leadoff man, who will be an All-American, has still not been cleared by the NCAA, which is the biggest load of garbage ever. How on earth does a kid enroll before school ever starts, transfers back in June? He's in good academic standing. The only reason he transferred was his coach at Kansas retired. Otherwise, he'd still be at Kansas. So this is an absolute no-brainer. The NCAA should have approved this on August 12th. And here we are at game 2. And yesterday, Tennessee was so assuming that this would be a no-brainer and he would get approved that he was in the lineup card yesterday. And 2 hours before game time, they got final confirmation that the NCAA hadn't reviewed his file yet, which is just insane.
Yeah.
So that it is a travesty what they are doing. And honestly, if they drag this out anymore, Maui should lawyer up because they're costing him money. They're costing him NIL money. They're costing him video for draft status. He should have a lawyer all over their tail by Monday if this thing doesn't get resolved this weekend. So you put him in the lineup, all of a sudden it shuffles Jared Dickey down to number 2. Guys who are hitting in 2 hole, which is Christian Moore tonight, he moves to the 5 or 6 hole. The other guy that's missing is Griffin Merritt. Griffin is a 5th-year senior. He was the American Conference Player of the Year last year, hit over 300 with, I think, 20 home runs, led the team in RBIs, doubles, was Conference Player of the Year in the American Conference, which is a really good baseball conference. He had to sit the first 2 games this weekend. You'll see him for the first time tomorrow. In their season-ending loss last year, he got ejected, arguing balls and strikes. And again, the NCAA and its infinite wisdom, if you get thrown out of the last game of the year, you have to sit out the first 2 of the next year, because 8 months later, you're still really focused on that ball and strike you were arguing last year. So that makes a ton of sense. So, he's got to sit out last night and today. He'll start tomorrow. He's an immediate difference maker. He might be the second best bat in the entire lineup behind Ahuna. And so, when you take out 2 of your top 4 hitters on a team that's not offensively deep, that shuffles the rest of your batting order, which creates issues in other spots of your lineup. So once those 2 guys get back, Tennessee should be fine offensively because it'll shuffle the order in the way it should be. But if they have any injuries, that could be an issue because the offensive depth is not there yet.
And that, like you said, that is a stark difference from last year because, he could just pull, like Booker, go get a base hit, or Christian Moore, go in there and get a base hit, that kind of thing. And it was no big deal, and that's different now. It's different.
Yeah, the guys that were our 5th or 6th option to pinch hit last year are either starting or the first option to pinch hit this year. Guys like Logan Chambers, guys that rarely ever saw the opportunity to play. They're now squarely in the mix. And it's going to take some time for some of those younger guys, like you mentioned, Kyle Booker, guys who didn't get a whole lot of playing time last year, but are going to be good players. Take some time. Like they've got to see live reps. and they've got to face the best of the best. And honestly, starting off with Arizona and Grand Canyon, they're facing the best of the best.
Right.
Those are two really strong programs that will absolutely be in the NCAA tournament. They're good.
That's what I was going to say. It's not like they're starting off the season with a cupcake FCS school or something like that, like in football. No.
Well, but did you see what happened with Mississippi State and VMI? And this
Get
is
out of here. That VMI beat Mississippi State.
Oh, hold on. This is the craziness that is college baseball. And as much parity as there is in college basketball, there might be even more in college baseball.
Right
Yesterday, Mississippi State beat VMI 11-2. Today, VMI beat Mississippi State 14-13.
Oh my goodness.
You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Man. Well, Rustin and I were talking about it beforehand. Like Grand Canyon, dude, they're good. Like they are repeatedly, consistently in the NCAA tournament and the regionals. I mean, they're good. Like that. This isn't some slouch team they're playing today. Same thing with Arizona. And so here's my one takeaway from that game last night with Arizona. The guys who are playing are Division I college baseball players, and the NCAA has allowed them to carry a metal bat up to the plate with them. Anytime you can hold Division I college baseball players swinging metal bats to 3 runs in a game, that's a good night. That's a really good night. And so kudos to the pitching staff yesterday. There 3 pitchers through. We had Dollander start, Halverson come in, and then Kirby came in to finish it off. They held Arizona to 3 runs. That's a good game for them. These dudes are swinging metal bats. Like the ball pops off those bats a little bit. The fact that they held them to 3 runs is a great outing. And if you're a Division I college team and you hold the opposing team to 3 runs, you should win that game. Like that's the bottom line. And so kudos to Arizona's pitching, because clearly they were dominant pitchers as well. So hopefully they can finish that one out with Grand Canyon and win that one. You got an update on that score, Rustin?
Yeah, it's still 2-1 in the top of the 5th, but Jared Dickey just hit a 1-out triple. So we've got a runner on third with 1 out. So hopefully, okay. And again, this is a great example of that roster shuffle I was talking about. Normally Maui Ahuna would be hitting leadoff. Jared Dickey would be in the 2-hole. But because Ahuna's out, Dickey's having to hit leadoff, and Hunter Inslee, who rarely will start this season, is hitting 2-hole. And with a runner on third and 1 out, he just popped up to the infield for the second out.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Rather than having, Jared Dickey being immediately followed by Blake Burke, which Blake Burke with a runner on third,
he's pretty good.
Verify any pitcher. Instead they're standing there looking at Hunter Inslee, who, bless his heart, doesn't strike fear in the heart of any pitcher. So, it's part of it. You just got to weather these moments. And now Christian Moore's up there, and there may not be anybody in the country colder than Christian Moore right now.
Well, I want to elaborate on one thing you just said. And honestly, I think this is the most encouraging thing to anybody who's watching this. You just heard Rustin say Jared Dickey just hit a 1-out triple. That means Jared Dickey had to run from home to third base
without getting injured.
Yeah, exactly. If you watched the Tennessee Vols last season, you understand how significantly important that is, that he just hit a triple, and that he's playing center field, roaming the outfield. He couldn't move last year. Like the second half of the season, the guy literally hardly could not move because his ankle was so messed up. And so that's very exciting to hear that, because man, he is such a threat at the plate. He is such a tough out. Like he finds a way on base. And the fact that he just hit a triple means he is fully healthy. That is very, very exciting and very encouraging for Tennessee fans.
He played center last night. They moved him to right tonight, and I think that's probably where he'll end up staying. But they moved him to right because Hunter Inslee got the start so they could give him a chance. He's in center tonight. I would not expect to see that moving forward. Again, that's Griffin Merritt's not playing, so we're going to give somebody else a shot.
Let's see if before we sign off here, let's see if the Lady Vols softball team, we can get an update on them real quick because that game's probably just about over.
Liberty scored. It's 3-1 Tennessee in the bottom of the 6th.
So they got 1 inning left. They play 7 innings in college softball. So, so we got 3 games going on. Men's tennis is.
Christian Moore gets a base hit, his first hit of the year. RBI single. Vols go up 3-1.
Well, that was a very timely hit there.
He needed that. He has been struggling mightily.
So we got baseball, basketball, and softball all playing today. Basketball drops 1 in Rupp. Softball has 2 games today. Looks like they're going to go 1-1 on the day. And baseball hopefully can maintain this lead. They got a 3-1 lead. Hopefully they can maintain that lead and close that one out as well.
And don't overlook tomorrow. Now, I feel good about it because we're sending Drew Beam to the mound. But UC San Diego can play too. They're no slouch.
Hey, they got some good-looking uniforms.
Yeah.
I know that's totally off topic.
Aside from how they look, they're in one of the best conferences in America, and they're very good.
Steven, I don't know how he says his last name. He was a pitcher at Virginia. Steven Scooch. I can't say his last. I don't know how he says
Donkey.
It. Yeah, the big donkey is what he's called. Yeah. He's a tremendous follow on Twitter, by the way, if for baseball, in particular college baseball. And he was tweeting out all the different highlights and stuff today. And 2 teams that he showed little clips of, and I was like, man, those are some good looking uniforms. One of them was Citadel. They had a walk-off hit tonight. They were looking sharp, man. They had some good looking unis. And San Diego was the other one that had great looking unis tonight. Both of them were like a powder blue. It was good looking stuff, man. Well, Rustin, go ahead.
I got a question for everybody watching or listening. We're 20-7 basketballs. We're 20-7. We're at Texas A&M on Tuesday. Then we've got South Carolina and Arkansas at home, and then at Auburn. Okay, 20-7 at Texas A&M, South Carolina and Arkansas at home, and then at Auburn. What's your prediction? What's our final record going into the SEC tournament?
I'm going to say 22-9. I'm going to say we lose at A&M and we lose at Auburn and we win the 2 in TBA. That's what I'm going to say.
That would have been my pick. And honestly, I think we should beat Auburn, but our lack of post game right now scares me to death. I think our guards and their guards cancel out. And if we don't have anybody that can play inside, Janai Broom and guys like that could be the difference in that game.
Well, and if they get hot from the 3-point line, we have shown a propensity to not be hot from the 3-point line. And so if they get hot, it'll be tough to stay with them.
So Grand Canyon just made a pitching change. And the guy that came to the mound, his first name is Brody. His last name is Cooper Vasilaskis.
Whoa.
We now know why Grand Canyon does not have the names on the back of their jerseys.
They couldn't fit his.
This one dude caused the entire team to not get their names on the back of their jerseys.
Sorry, guys. Brody, we can't do it because of Brody.
Cooper Vasilaskis. That's like 28 letters.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The Vols, they're looking sharp tonight, Taz. I bragged on the Citadel and San Diego's uniforms. The Vols are in my second favorite uniform of theirs. Well, no, third. My second favorite Vols uniform is the orange jerseys that they're wearing right now with the Vol script on them with the white pants. That's my second favorite. They're wearing the gray pants right now. My favorite Vols uniform is the creams with the Vols
All,
orange script across.
all cream.
Yeah, I mean that looks really good. That it's the script, man. It's that Vols script. It looks so good.
They
So
had
I love.
one they had one game last year, and I hope they do it again, but they had one game last year where they put the dark mode jersey, the black jersey with the cream pants. That was sweet.
Yeah, I'd say numero uno is the cream jerseys and pants with the orange Vol script, and then a close second is the orange jersey with white Vol script and white pants. That's some sharp stuff there. Well, you got any last thoughts, Rustin, before we sign off of here?
Uh, like I said, just so frustrating. I hope that I think Rick Barnes is a really good coach. I think he's got a really good staff. I hope they can find a way to get in these guys' heads and help them realize how to be consistent. Because if this team becomes consistent, they can make a deep postseason run. But in the very same breath, this could be the next team to lose to St. Peter's. Their inconsistency is just so unbelievable. You just never know what in the world they're going to do.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we appreciate everybody joining us tonight. You can always find us at thevolbros.com. You can see all the videos that we've done, all our live streams on there too. It's all auto fed into that page. So you can always find us at thevolbros.com. You can always find us at the Volbros on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube and Instagram. So we hope that y'all find us there. And hey, we're getting so close to 1,000 subscribers. That's our goal right now. Like I said, YouTube's already putting ads on our videos, so they're making money off of us. I mean, I'd like to make some of that if they're gonna make money off of us too, And so, if you haven't already subscribed, man, we would absolutely love it if you would subscribe. That would be amazing. But text a buddy. We will be back. We'll be here Tuesday night. It'll be late. The Vols play at 7, so it'll be a late show, probably about 9:30. But we'll be here, and then hopefully we'll be seeing everybody before next Saturday too, because that'll be the next game. But Vols at Texas A&M.
How nice would it be for them to go into College Station and perform the way they're capable, and us to be able to get on that show 9:30 Tuesday night and actually be able to talk about them positively?
That'd be awesome. I love that. Because this is also another thing. We'll have two things to talk about at least that night, because the basketball team is playing at Texas A&M, but the baseball team has 2 home games, Tuesday and Wednesday, against Alabama A&M, both of which are at 4:30 p.m. So that game, that's what I'm talking about. That game, that 4:30 p.m. game will be over well before 9:30, and so we'll be able to talk about the base Vols beating. I'm going to assume they're going to beat Alabama A&M. They'll play them at 4:30. I'd be interested to see who gets the start in that game. I wonder if not Seacrest. What's his name?
Yeah, Xander Seacrest. It'll be him.
Yeah.
They last night Seth Halverson came in long relief. It's pretty clear that's how they're going to use him. He's going to be the emergency starter and long relief guy.
It'll be interesting to see if maybe he starts that Wednesday game against
possible
Alabama A&M. I don't think he'll throw in the Tuesday game, but I think we could potentially see him.
It might be flip-flopped because he threw long relief last night, and if they want to have him available for the weekend, He might actually
true.
start the Tuesday game, and Sechrist might start the Wednesday game.
Yeah, that's a good point. But they play those 2 games. So Tuesday night we'll be talking Vol baseball again, as well as Vol basketball. Hopefully we'll be talking about 2 wins. That'll be awesome. But we so appreciate everybody joining us as always. Man, this is awesome. We love doing this. It's so much fun. So we hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Go Vols. The Lady Vols should be wrapping up any moment. You got a score on that one?
Still 3-1, the top of the 7th.
Well, there you go. So that Lady Vols is so close to a win right now in the softball team, and the base Vols are probably about to wrap it up too. They're both in like the 6th inning, 7th inning.
No, we're actually still in the top of the 5th. It's 3-1. We've got bases loaded, 2 outs.
Gotcha. Well, I hope everybody has a great evening. Zach, welcome back, buddy. You're the man, Zach. You're the man.
Does he not know?
Yeah.
Send him a
Ball
link.
Bros are going live.
Send him a link.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully we'll when we see everybody Tuesday night, we'll be talking about how the base Vols are 2-1 at that point. I'm sure Kiki Malloy will hit another couple of home runs before then, and and then we'll see everybody Tuesday night. So I hope everybody has a great evening. Go Vols, and we will see you all soon.